I'm sitting up here looking at a man with a tie on. You know, I feel like I'm out of place, man. What? Looking good though. Looking good,
Hey,
looking good, looking good. This is Youth Central Sports, and I'm Charles Morse, and this is the original Coach Carter. And I feel like I need to go get me a jacket, a tie, or something, something, something. Yeah, man. What's going on,
that's
guys?
not necessary. Not necessary. Just another day of activity. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Another day of activity. We were celebrating our year-end banquet tonight, and I rushed out of there to get back to be on with the night. Great atmosphere. Was able to celebrate all three of our freshman, JV, and varsity team, and recognize our five seniors from the varsity that were leaving for this year. Great atmosphere, great program. As good as it was for the heart, it was also hard on the heart. I hate to see them go, but you gotta let them go and pick up another group and just put the ball back on the floor.
Oh wow. You know, it's funny because when you say that, it makes me go back some years, and I can remember the banquets and those. You know, and the funny thing is that when the season starts, you don't think about the banquet, and then
Oh no,
when you get to the banquet, you realize how unique it is and how it's a reflection of the season, and that in a way you'd be like, man, this thing is over. You know,
yeah,
but yeah,
it has a sense of finality to it. It seemed like it's a long season. We went deep into the playoffs, got down to the final four, and um, that's a long season. That's a real long season. And yet it seemed like it went by so fast. We started last October, early November, late October, and went all the way up to about 3, 4 weeks ago, about a month ago. So we ended in March. That's a long time. That's a lot of practice. That's a lot of conditioning. It's a lot of one-on-one, but it's always worth it. But when you sit down at that banquet and you bounce that ball for the last time, it seemed like it was only about a month. So
well,
I'm
this is this.
disappointed,
Yeah,
but I'm excited about the group that's coming up.
okay. Well, that's one thing. It's like the flowing river. It's a
Yep,
continuous motion. You
yes,
know.
it is.
Yeah.
That's so true.
This is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Here Eastern Time, and the original Coach Carter, he's there in Tennessee. He's an hour behind us, so I usually ask, "How is the weather there in Tennessee, Vince? How's the
Well,
weather?"
we're in Florida like weather. We were up to 79 today.
Ooh,
We're down to about
wait.
67 tonight, and so we're seeing another tomorrow. We'll be up around 78 tomorrow. So we normally have a little cool morning, and then it gets it warms up in the day, and we have early evening warm, and then late night it cools down again. But we'll have the next 3 days. Now we're gonna have some rain tomorrow, so temperatures are going to change. But the last few days have been like Florida like weather.
Now I'm gonna ask you kind of a strange question, okay? And this question is really just based on your opinion.
Hmm.
But for the game of golf, which has never really been a primary sport um, that a lot of people of color have played this game. There've always been people of color who played it, but um, it's not a game or a sport in which a lot of people of color, you can kind of like pick on one hand the people of color that you can think of that have really made an honest living at it, that we know of. But
Right.
for Tiger Woods, and ask you what you think of him winning the Masters, but how do you, in your own words, describe Tiger when it comes to golf, and how he is embraced in the perception of him and the impact of him uh, playing golf, and also, did you think that he would win the Masters?
Well, Tiger's impact for the game prior to his incident that November, what he was doing there was just absolutely phenomenal. Had never, I mean, he was outpacing everybody, he was outworking everybody, and he was outplaying everybody. And I think every golfer thought they were fighting for second place. No one thought they were fighting for first place. He was just doing some phenomenal, playing some phenomenal golf. I mean, a true testament to the game of golf from a discipline standpoint, mental focus, golf IQ, physicalness of the body. And then he ran into that situation there where he just seemed to, and I kind of understand the impact of what happened in the breakup of the family and all that. Then he had several injuries, but still, Tiger has a huge following. A lot of people are big Tiger Woods fans in the golf community and non-golfers as well. But in the golf community, he's very well respected. I thought it was interesting in this particular tournament because on his comeback, and I'm just going to talk about within the last year or so, he has shown signs that he could possibly win another major tournament. He was getting close, finishing, fourth, fifth, sixth, somewhere up in there. And a couple of times he got even higher. One time it was leading going into a round, and he fell back, and when he was second, and you could see flashes of him coming, of it, or maybe him turning the corner. It was interesting. They showed a clip to him of people who were saying they didn't ever think he'd get back. They thought he was done, thought he should retire, that his golf days were over, and all that kind of stuff. And he was sitting there looking at it, smiling, but yet he's come back and played a phenomenal round of golf. I had hoped he would finish well. I didn't know whether that he could win it until that last day when he was tied for or right out. I thought this could be it. If he comes out Sunday and really had, all he needs was a good round. He had some great hits because I actually watched it, and he had some really great hits. I think the impact of what Tiger is doing is just excites golf, and it's across the spectrum. People of color, non-color, even non-golfers, people who don't even play the game are just excited to what because he's youthful, he's relatable, he's had some ups and downs, and I think the comeback is really what makes him human. You've seen the agony, you've seen the pain he's gone through physically to get out there and compete. You know the mistakes he's made. Some people hold him accountable for him. He should be held accountable for all of his actions. They disagree with some of the things. They agree with others. He just had a roller coaster ride, physically, surgery after surgery after surgery. But to see him stay in there, despite, and sometimes it looked like, maybe he should just give this up. But he refused to stop. And this is the one thing about young athletes, be resilient. If you believe it, then you fight for what you believe in. You give your all against all obstacles. Every slogan you could think of, every motivational thought you could give, I think you just saw that in his effort in getting out there and playing and then bringing that thing home. I was excited for him, and I think I'm a non-golfer, to be honest with you. I'm not really a golf guy. But he excited me from the aspect of what we talk about every day, is about the spirit of sport. He wouldn't quit. He wouldn't give up. I was particularly heartwarming to see that when he walked off the course, his mother was standing. Of course, he stood and hugged his son, where his dad hugged him when he won his first Augusta championship. I thought that was one heck of a moment, a very touching moment. And Tiger's matured a lot. He's grown up a lot. I think he's seen the really hard knocks of life, and to see him come back and be able to put in that kind of effort against young golfers who are playing well, who have been playing very well, playing Tiger Wood-like golf, if you will, for him to come and outpace those guys and get out there and get that done. I think it's a testament to the spirit of sport, not to mention his own tenacity. And what it did for me was just reinforce what I believe about being committed, never giving up, and believing in your dream.
Right, yeah. And somebody was talking to me about his impact on golf. It's I don't even know if you can really put it into words. It's just
I
interesting.
don't think you.
And a few weeks ago, they had a shot of him on the course, and it was and they went to this wide shot, and all you saw was this crowd following him. I
Mm-hmm.
think the last time I saw something like that was with Michael Jackson, where that
Mm.
crowd, where he walking and they're following him. It's just absolutely amazing. It's it for me. Sometimes it's very hard to understand uh, that itself, that people gravitate to that. It's part of it I understand, but part of it I don't understand. But
Mm.
it's just amazing, and it was. I mean, I was happy for him that he
Yeah.
won, and I'm hoping that he's back. Because he is good for the game of golf.
Well, and the thing that was impressive to me was the other players who celebrated his victory. Even the guys that he beat, they were in contention for to win this thing. But one guy was saying, he was happy for Tiger. He wanted to beat him, but he was happy that Tiger won. And I don't remember the one golfer who, when he won a major, Tiger hung around to 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 be with him. And when Tiger, and this guy was third place, I think, in this past tournament, and Tiger won. He hung around to go back to the clubhouse to be with Tiger. So he's embraced by the golfing community, even from his competitors. It's a great story. And I too think, I hope he's back. He's back to playing at his best and let his win losses fall where they may. But he's back to playing Tiger Wood golf, and whatever that gives him, I hope. I I hope him. I wish him the very best. The thing that I'm looking at is all those sponsors that dropped him, and I'm not saying they may not have been wrong for their image and what they stood for and whatever clauses in their contracts that they had, that they found it necessary to discontinue it with him given his social issues. But what do you think now when you look at this guy? What a story it is, and how many of them want to reattach themselves onto this wagon now, and how many would he allow to come back, if any? That's going to be the next story, I think, because he's big right now. You can't get any bigger than where he is right now. And
Okay.
this would be great for some of those sponsors. But I don't know. I'm just curious to see how they feel about it. Will they come back and embrace it?
Well, um, before we get into the NBA and the playoffs, I was just looking at the Cowboys schedules, man. Have you seen the
Mm.
schedule?
No,
Yeah.
I got a text from one of my Cowboy friends, and I have not had a chance to look at what he
Well,
was talking
they
about.
they opened the season against the New York Giants.
Mm.
Yeah. They
Uh,
opened the season. The preseason games they play. The first game is August 10th. They play San Francisco. Then they go to Hawaii to play the Los Angeles Rams. Then
mhm.
they play the Houston Texans, and the last game they play the Buccaneers. But they open the regular season against the New York Giants, and then the second week of the season they go and play against your favorite team, the Washington Redskins.
Well, there's a lot of change in the league right now. Um, Cowboys on paper should have advantage on these squads because they're all in disarray. But it's a long time before the season open. A lot of things could possibly happen. Draft coming up here sometime next week. I think the draft, and we see what that looks like. Then you got OTAs that have started already, and then you got your draft picks coming into camp, and what does that look like? So once again, as a Cowboy fan, I'm very optimistic about what we look like on paper, but I'm really anxious to see what we look like on the field. Even if it is preseason, I think you get a general idea of where you are because their maturity should stand out. It should stand
Well,
out. Just like with a basketball team. I'm looking at, we graduate 5 seniors and we're putting a new product on the floor, but we've already had 4 open gyms. And we could pretty much look and say, okay, we kind of know where 5 of our players are. We kind of know where 5 of them are already. And now we're working on the next five, and what does that next five look like? Is that a mixture of younger, older players, whatever? But we've already seen. So then when we do our summer play, then we really get a chance to see that game organized on the floor with all of our purposes and schemes, and you get a better look. So that's what I'm looking for the Cowboys. Although preseason is interesting, it kind of gives you a first look, but I'm very confident that we should be better.
Well, I'm sitting here and they play the Saints in week 4. So that I know you heard about Russell contract with
Mm-hmm. Seattle.
Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
and so the question that I heard some of the sports announcers talking about whether or not they're going to pay Dak or what the Cowboys are going to pay Dak when it comes time for his contract, and they were saying that he definitely would not get those kind of numbers. But those guys going to get paid anyway.
Well, yeah, he's gonna be due a decent. I mean, a perform if they're basing it on performance against the base, he should get a really because for a starting quarterback, and the amount of time he's in the league, he's way down the chart. Now he's still making good money. Don't get me wrong; he's not starving, but he should be being paid more based on what's happening with him. It'll be interesting to see. Russell Westbrook's been in the league for a while. He's accomplished some things that Dak has not accomplished yet with his team. So I would think he would get paid more, but I also think the Cowboys know they've got to pay Dak more than what they're currently paying, just based on the performance that he's had or that he's having. His first few seasons. So it's going to be good money. It may not be Russell Wilson money, but it's going to be some big money.
Okay, and actually, the first time you said Westbrook,
Yeah,
because
yeah. I was thinking
I almost said
yeah,
Russell Westbrook. That's why I just said Russell, because I was getting ready to call him Westbrook. I caught I caught myself.
yeah, but he's getting. That's going to be all right.
Right. But
We got to lock it up though.
speaking speaking of Westbrook,
Mm.
what do you think of Westbrook as a point guard?
I don't. I don't.
I'm not asking you about Westbrook, the basketball player. I'm asking you about Westbrook, the point guard.
I think on the team that he's on, I guess that's he's doing what they need him to do. I think he's better with the ball coming to him rather than starting off and giving it up and then getting it back. But I guess the way they see it, he's doing. He's probably one of the best ball handlers, and he has been doing a better job of getting more people involved. But he still gets his shot. I think he's doing a great job of getting more people involved. So I think for Oklahoma and what they're trying to accomplish and what their scheme, I think he fits. Outside of that, I don't think he'd be a point guard on many other teams. I think they probably move him to shooting guard,
Right.
and because he can score, he not only can he shoot it, he can get to the rack. So, but I think in Oklahoma they're using him. But if you notice, he is dishing that ball off a little bit more. It's coming back to him, which is what I think it should do. It should come back to him, but he's dishing it off more. He's trying to help other people get involved. I.e., look at his assist rate. He's averaging, triple double at minimum a double double. So he's giving the ball up, but he's also still shooting some shots. But I'm not sure he has enough help. And I think
Well,
this is going to be a crazy
I've
year for Billy Donovan, who has
he
been there for a few years. That Billy is on a semi hot seat. They've got to go a little bit further in the playoffs than they currently have gone. And right now, I think they're 0-2.
right. I don't. I like Westbrook as a basketball player. To me, he's not a point guard. He's not even. I can, Vince. I can think of at least 40 point guards ahead of him that I would rather have uh, uh, these guys in the last 2 minutes of a basketball game than Westbrook, because I just don't trust him as a point guard. I like him as a basketball player. I like him as an athlete, but as a point guard, he's way down. I mean, and actually, he is a little better this year than he's been in the previous years. But man, he makes me nervous, man, when it comes down to crunch time as a point guard. That's just, I just, that's, he's just not a point guard to me. And even if you look like in the last year or the last 3 years, when the announcers or whoever talking, they're saying, man, he did make a good decision there. He made a bad play there. He's just not making good decisions. And then I also got a problem with his attitude a lot of times. I just don't like his attitude. I think he's a little immature when it comes to dealing with the fans and just that overall thing of just how he responds when people talk to him that he doesn't like what they're saying. I don't think he even understands the position that he's in when it comes to the fans and whether or not they like him or don't like him. I think he handles that situation like he's still in high school. But that's just my own personal opinion. But him as an athlete, him as a basketball player, I have much respect for him. He plays hard. He comes to play every night. His shooting percentage is always kind of low, but his effort is always high. And I like him as a ball player, but I just don't think he's a point guard, and I just think he's very immature sometimes when it comes to him dealing with the fans.
You can never. I mean, yeah, it's always what's happening. I mean, I'm not there, so when I hear what he says and other players have said, people just say we're in that kind of society now where people, because they pay to come to football, basketball, baseball, whatever, they have a right to say and do anything that they want to. That's a part of our culture today, from parents, spectators. And if he feels like he's being violated, I applaud him for speaking up about it. The way he handled it, maybe I don't necessarily, maybe I handle it that way. I don't know. Somebody was spitting on me or saying something to me that, and then, like any athlete, you catch him in a bad time, a defeat or something like that. His attitude is going to be a little bit different. Not making excuses for it, but how he might be more sensitive. But at the same time, it's about coming and playing the game and going. You shouldn't have to go through. Yeah, everybody has a right to say what they want to say, but he's saying he's being personally attacked. I don't blame him for that. But the way he handles it is one of the things I would say. Well, again, I can't prescribe him away because I'm not there. I don't know how I would react in that situation myself. He does play with a chip on his shoulder. That's what he's learned. That's the way he was taught to play the game. It's something his dad gave him years ago, and he just brings it that way. It's offensive to some people, but it's effective. I mean, he gets the job done. He seems to be mellowing just a little. He's not as feisty, if you will, high strung as he was in the past. He's distributing the ball more, obviously, over the last few years. But I think he works for what they want there in Oklahoma. I would agree that outside of that, he probably would fit as well in another system or an organization, because the way they're structured, it's always been about the ball being in Westbrook's hands.
Well,
Even if he wasn't the point guard, everything ran through him. And I think they felt like, and the previous coach as well, because they put the ball in his hand, he brings it up, he distributes, he gets it back, and a lot of times he brings it up and he scores, i.e. James Harden, if you would. So I think it's just style, but I also agree that sometimes his attitude kind of, he could be overreacting, and I say that
he's spoiled.
cautiously.
He's spoiled.
And he could very well be that as well, because that would not be uncommon. But if he's defending himself, I applaud him for that. But
Well, Vince,
again, make sure that I can't say, because I'm going by what I've heard him say,
yeah, but
and if
my
that is the situation, I agree with it. But again, it's how you handle it.
yeah, my issue is that no fan has the right to spit, do anything physical, throw something.
Right.
That's a whole nother issue. But
Right.
what I speak to is when a fan is saying something to you and then you upset about what they're saying. I just you can say
I,
what you want to say. That doesn't bother me.
well,
You know
but
that I
again,
mean
too, now,
you can say what you want to say, um,
but it's how you
and
say it. It would be the same thing, reaction to back what he said is how. Now, this guy said the most recent incident, which someone agreed with him because they banned a couple of fans out the arena based on their behavior. And it wasn't just what Westbrook said about it, it's the way they investigated and they found it to be true. And I think those guys attacked him personally. They took it
what
personal. Now, I I, I want to think, maybe this is not, I want to think that, thick skin, um, I'm going to let this roll off my back. Well, that's easier said than done sometimes. And I think when you add the emotion to it, and he does seem to be very high strung, that it kind of gets a little bit out of hand.
well,
Verbal abuse about how bad you are as a player, that goes with the game. You shoot too much, you can't hit a shot. Okay, I mean, that's just basketball. But when a person starts talking about your family, stuff like that, that that that's stepping a little bit too far, and that's done a lot. It's just a lot of time people don't respond to it. It's got too far away that you can't, get to him. But this guy was very close, and they had that exchange, and he probably lost his school. He got
I
on
mean
him about, he was talking about his family, and that's fine.
Vince, I mean, to be honest, I mean, to
Mhm.
be in the position that he's in, it's, man, you can say what you want to say about whoever. I don't care. And the only reason they're saying what they're saying is because the only reason they're saying something is because they want to be you and because of who you are. Otherwise,
Well,
they wouldn't
yeah,
be saying anything. But for them to say what they, I don't care.
but the,
It makes no difference. I'm saying for me because they're just words, and the only way they mean something is if I give them definition. So I don't really care about what they say because and I know why they're saying it, and the mere fact that they're saying it,
yeah,
the mere fact that they're saying it, let me know that I'm in a good place because if I wasn't, they wouldn't be talking anyway. So I'm blessed. I understand. I have no reason to get upset with them. I'm not listening, and I'm not going to define what they're saying. I'm just not going to listen to it. I don't care. But that's me though. I just don't understand why people care about
yeah.
somebody
In
who
the
can say anything at any
the
point
heat
in
of
time.
battle,
And the only reason they're saying it is because of who you are in the position that you're in.
if
So
you are
they
able
want to
to,
be you.
if you can process it in that mindset, I would agree. But if you add the emotion to it, and he cannot control his emotion, and everybody knows he's high strung. If he has an issue, it's his inability to control his emotion. And then you put fuel fire, making it personal too. He makes it because they know he'll react that way. That's the issue he's got to deal with. But you can't gauge what's sensitive to him because some of the other players in the league have said that people have thrown racial slurs at them. They've spit at them. There's some things, and some of the guys just just ignore, walk away. They walk in and just kind of look at them. I remember just this past season, I had a fan walked up and made a comment about my head coach that was very unflattering, and my first reaction was to say something in defense of what he just said, but I thought I said, it doesn't matter. Let it go. Now, if he would I've reacted differently if he'd have said me to me? Probably so. I may have. I don't know if I would have flown off the handle, maybe, but I would have handled it. I would have tried to just say no, but the emotion of it all could have gotten the best of me, and I may have acted different. So you don't know. Ideally, what you're saying is what I want to do. I want to just let it roll off my shoulders and keep going. I've had a kind where people have said some very unkind things, and I kind of said like, man, it don't matter. I don't really care. And you just keep on moving. Now, is that true of me every day? No, No, it's
Well,
not.
well,
You know,
Vince, you and I both know. I mean, we've reached that place in time where you start to understand, and you can probably relate to the ignorance of people, let alone that spirit itself. But you know,
yeah.
you're trying to fight a battle that you definitely can't win, because ignorance is ignorance. And once I got to a place where I
Yeah.
identified myself and know who I am, and I feel good about myself, and understanding the only reason that they are saying what they're saying, because I understand why they're saying what they're saying, and the only way that it's going to mean something is if I give it definition. So I
Well,
just, I mean, I
that's the
think Westbrook is
optimum.
just very immature sometimes, and it
It may
just
be.
doesn't go in his favor, I think. But,
Well, you know,
you know, that's
it's
just
an
me.
issue. Yeah, it's an issue of concern. I think it's something he's going to have to address in the best way that and there's a change in his temperament, but he's still high strung. And I wonder, or it's been said sometime, he's overcompensating for losses, for performances that were not the best performance, either by him or his team, and probably him more than anything else. And then you come at him, and you know he's really blowing that steam off. Not so much about what you said, but about just what happened. That's a learned behavior. That's a maturity thing. That's being conscious of what you're doing. And I would dare say, when he sits down and he thinks about it, I think he may be thinking I probably could have handled that differently, or he could just be saying I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about it. I
Well,
mean, all I know is he play hard. I give him credit for that.
well, yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
you know, like I said, I mean, he plays hard. He's just not a point guard. That's all.
Well,
That brother
yeah,
scared me in the last two. Well, I know exactly, Vince. I know exactly what he's gonna do in the last minute of a game. I know exactly what he's gonna do. I already know.
but yeah,
Already, he
they're
gonna
not.
force it. He gonna force it.
They,
He gonna force it. He gonna force it every time, and he
yeah,
he, he gonna
yeah,
force it. He gonna turn it over. He gonna go hard to the basket. He gonna bang it off the backboard. He gonna miss a shot, and he gonna. That's just exactly what he gonna do.
well, same thing James Harden does. The only thing it looks like right now his completion percentage is higher. He taking wild, crazy shots. He pulling up, way out of there, dribble drive and pulling up, doing the same thing. It's just two different players, two different systems. You got
Right,
Chris Paul, who is the point guard. Although Harden brings the ball up, he's not their playmaker. Where I
right.
think Westbrook is their playmaker as well as one of their better scorers. And it's a combination that I don't always like because I always feel like you overwork him. He's got to bring the ball up. He's got to start the offense. He's in all that way. And I would rather if you bring it up, give it to somebody else. Let them do whatever needs to be done. Then you get it back and do your job. But that's my personal opinion. So Billy is doing what he thinks is right out there. Only thing I can say to Billy is you're gonna have to get some results out of that because I think their patience is running short with him out there, and he's done a good job. But I think they're just not getting to where they want them to be.
Speaking of speaking of NBA, what do you think? It was funny because did you see my post on the Magic win? Did you see that post that I put on Facebook?
Yeah, yeah, I did see that. I'm sure everybody else had that same reaction. I did. I did. I was absolutely blown away by that.
I was
But I
like,
saw
what the?
another post on Facebook right after that with the next game. The guy was saying, "Okay, you can come back. I guess now everybody's come back to reality. They come
Right.
back and they blew your doors off. That's
Well,
not to say they don't still play well. I mean, but they just, that I think they really caught Toronto with their pants down. They couldn't get them up, and they couldn't get them back up, and they just got into them. Now, will Toronto play to that level again, or will the Magic play to that level again? That's what we're going to see. And right now, it's a 1-1 game.
right. Right. So when the second game came, I wrote on the post, now that's the Magic that I know.
Well,
Not
that's
the
what
game,
other people was.
not the
But,
Magic that
but
played the first game. When the Magic that played the second game, that's the Magic that I know.
I think
You
I
know.
think Clifford, Steve Clifford has done a good job. The Magic has settled down that coach. They gave him some decent talent, and they let this man work on putting a team, making a team to put on the floor. That whirlwind wonder they've been trying to do is not work. They don't have the money to spend to get those kind of players, and they're not coming to Orlando right now. So you're going to have to get a core, which I think they got a decent core, and now they let this guy work at it for a minute. So that was a big victory for the franchise. Even if they don't go any further, they've got to the playoffs. They won a playoff game, and you have to measure it that way. Now, are they going to beat? Do you really think um, they're going to beat the Spurs? I mean, they're going to beat Toronto? Well, I think on paper, the answer is no. You know, they probably thought they were, most people probably thought they were going to get swept. Well, they changed that notion right now. I'm sure the betting is going crazy because they were probably betting them swept. And so here you got a game. It's a big victory for them. You know, and now you got to settle down and play the rest of the series. You got your victory, but you don't want to go 4-1. You know, you don't remember one time and they beat you in the head because they've been there a few years ago. So um, I hope that it means that they're going to be competitive.
Right.
That's what I hope for. Just be competitive. Even if you lose 4-1,
Yeah,
you fight
I
your way
mean,
through.
they they shocked me the last. I mean, after the All Star game, because I really don't pay any attention to the Magic, and then I started paying attention to the Magic, uh, for actually the wrong reason, because they had a promo thing going here locally, Vince, the last part of the season that I found out, and that it ended. But when the Magic won, that you got a free lunch, and
Right.
so once I found out that if if they come away with a victory, I get a free lunch. That's when I started paying attention to them.
Yeah, well, that's the promotion. I mean, that's the whole idea is to get you get all the non-supporters to get behind them. I mean, but you got to win.
Yeah,
You're only gonna get you're gonna pick up extra fans if you win. Because if you feed me, if I get enough free lunches, believe me, I'm gonna become a fan. No, I will become a fan. You know how we are.
right.
We want to be a part of that. So, but they're all, right now 1-1, a good victory and a blowout. Okay, let's settle down now because this is what makes it interesting. You get a chance to eat. You face each other. You faced each other several times, and you get a chance to make your adjustments. You get a chance to find out what's going on. There's no more surprises. Now they're going into game three. There's no more surprises. Everybody knows what they face. So let's see how they come out of that.
Yeah, yeah. I think Friday when they play here in Orlando, um, we will see.
Yeah,
I mean,
that'll be a big test for them.
at least be competitive. You know,
Right.
and
At the very least. I mean, even if they lose the game, at least be in the fight, be in the hunt, fight for it all the way out. Don't go out there and if they go out there and they get blown out, uh, that does not fare well for them going down, going the rest of the series. Because when they go home, that is when Toronto goes home. That could be it.
yeah. Well,
That could,
The Magic play. I mean, they do play better at home, but Toronto is a
yeah.
very good team. So
They got some good
Friday,
weapons up
yeah,
there.
Friday will be a test to see where they are
Big test.
mentally,
Hmm.
and see if they've can shake off that second game and
Yeah.
ready to play. So I mean, it's not like I'm not rooting for them. I'm just, I mean, I'm just shocked that
It
they,
shocked a lot of people. I was
yeah,
watching. I didn't see the game, but I saw highlights of the game, and I heard the announce. I mean uh, the, uh, the
yeah. I mean,
call them guest
I
coaches
saw,
there.
I
They
saw
talked about
like I think I saw like the last quarter of the game, and I kept waiting for them to fold. You know what I'm saying? I kept waiting, like, oh, I'm waiting. I like, whoa, oh my goodness.
it.
Oh, okay,
They look pretty solid. They kept it together, and I was shocked by that. So um, very impressive, you know. And then now you lost. So Friday will be the telltale. Okay, what who are we, and are we ready to play? That's going to be the biggie for me.
okay. Now let's. My question is, do you think the Clippers will win one more game in this
I
series
think they will.
against Golden State?
I, I do. I think they will. I think it'll be a close game, but I think they'll get one more.
Because,
I do.
and I mean, in the past, the Clippers have had no answer at all for the Warriors. None, zero, zilch. But it'll be it's and I love. I mean, Patrick Beverly is one of my favorite players. He
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of Charles Oakley.
Mm-hmm.
Just giving you all. I mean, and plus he has worked on his shot, so he's a little better shooter now. But man, I love Patrick. But he's my kind of guy. Him and Charles Oakley, man, I used to just love to watch Charles Oakley play because he just give you every ounce of his body, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
hard working, just play hard. Uh, he was just my kind of guy, and Patrick Beverly is, I mean, he's just my kind of guy.
Well, the Clippers are an improved team. They've got some good pieces on their team, and Doc has really got them playing um, at a pretty high level right now. That was very impressive uh, victory come from behind, 37 points behind, uh, to overtake Golden State, which I'm sure Golden State should be a little bit concerned, very much concerned about that. Then you lost your big man uh, to injury that probably won't play anymore this season is what it's looking like right now. So they have called. I mean, they got guys coming off the bench, but Boogie was or Demarcus as he wants to be called, was a huge force in there. I think he gave them the edge that they wanted to have. The question will be now, how well do they compensate for his absence? Because we know they could win without him. I think the teams is you're looking at Clippers playing well, Houston playing. Some of those guys, those guys are prepared to play them, and I think they're prepared to defend. But without Boogie's changes things. Now Looney's going to be in there. You got Bortok and those guys. Those are not DeMarcus Cousins. So it's going to be interesting to see what Steve Kerr comes up with and the players how well they adjust. I do think they'll give up one more game though. I think the Clippers will get them in one more game.
Real quick, they just flashed the Thanksgiving game. Dallas is playing Buffalo on
Okay.
Thanksgiving. So just to let you know that when you're eating your turkey and your cranberry sauce, you're going to be looking at Buffalo and Dallas on that
Yeah,
Thursday.
Buffalo hadn't been on Thanksgiving schedule in quite a while, so
Yeah,
they're normally not there. So it'll be interesting to have them on board.
yeah. Funny because I thought Buffalo at one point because they had a really good defense about 2 years ago, and I don't know what happened to them. You know, they
The
just kind of
defense
like
was good. The offense was not as explosive. They were
right,
having problems scoring points. They could play good D. They just couldn't get enough points on the board.
right, yeah. Now, uh, Houston. I'm sitting here looking at this Houston, Utah, and apparently Utah, they just don't have an answer for anything when it comes to Houston because they haven't been in
Um,
either one of these games.
and that's a little surprising for me because I really thought last season and even earlier this season Utah was playing some pretty good ball. Um, Playing very well, as a matter of fact. I mean, they made it to the playoffs. Um, Falling two behind, I really thought it would have been a 1-1 split, but that's a scary thought that it could be in deep trouble. It could be Houston could really get away from them. and eliminate them, which I was expecting them to give Houston a better run, because I think they lost 92-0.
Well, before we go any further, I want you to talk about this right here for a quick moment there, Vince. I want you let us know what's coming up on July 13th with you being
July 13th. Yeah,
our
we're gonna have a
main
chance
guy.
to sit down, and talk about the issues of parenting a student athlete, and try to answer some questions, give some ideas, helpful hints as to how to deal with what the expectations may be, how to handle that, help parents be parents and coaches be coaches and athletes be athletes. I want to share some of my experiences with them to try to help answer their questions and guide them, give them some information that they may or may not have, but just reaffirm it or give them information they don't have. Just a nice conversation. I really would look forward to you coming out to hear us talk about this, something I love, sport in the game of basketball. But having had the opportunity to be a parent, the opportunity to be a coach, opportunity to parent a player, I really think I have some insight into what that dynamic is. And so I want to try to share with those who may be going through that some do's and some don'ts, some things and pitfalls to stay away from. And then just engage them. Love to talk about the game of basketball. So please come out and join us. I really look forward to seeing you.
Okay, and I also want to let people know about this event that's coming up next month.
It's the 16th annual What's My Anti-Drug Youth Summit, taking place May 18th and 25th with Vision of Flight. Vision of Flight is an educational and training program designed to develop interest and opportunity for youth in the field of aeronautics. There are over 1 million jobs available in the field of aerospace and aviation, including pilots, mechanics, engineers, and many more. Students will have hands-on experience with a flight simulator, and by the end of the day, the kids will fly their very own plane. Yes, they will take their destination into their very own hands. It's the 16th annual What's My Anti-Drug Youth Summit, May 18th and 25th. To find out more information, go to youthcentralconnection.com. That's youthcentralconnection.com. Again, youthcentralconnection.com. Sign up soon. Limited space available.
Should be a fun day there, Vince.
Yeah, it really should be. I think it's great. As I said before, I think it's great to be able to expose our youth to other things other than sport and entertainment, and let there are other opportunities out there. And this would be it. This aviation thing, to me, is a very explosive career opportunity, and there's so many facets to it. And it's nice for them to be able to be exposed to that. So I find that interesting. I really, I hope it goes well, and I hope they come and attend.
Oh yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Mike McKenzie, who's over Vision of Flights, and I don't know if I told you that, but the kids will also eventually get a chance to meet one of the original Tuskegee Airmen. You know, there's really not that many of them left, but
No,
they'll get a chance to meet one of the original. You know.
I had the pleasure of putting on a banquet for them a few years ago, and it was more of them in Central Florida at the time. And since that time, about 7 of them have passed. But these guys, if you ever get a chance to meet them, they're phenomenal. They have great stories. They humble you. They give you something to laugh about, and they also charge your heart sometimes. They make you angry listening to their story of what they went through and how they went through it. But the victory comes from what they were able to accomplish. And they're very accomplished individuals, and they're fun to be around. I really had a ball, and it was my honor to be a part of a program that honored them. But like I said, about 7 or 8 of them now have passed, but there's still a couple in the area. They're fun to talk to, and great history there.
Okay, well, you got to say hi to Danelle, because you say that you're going out to Vegas and you're going to make sure that you hook up with him. But he
It,
just
it is my
he
intent. It is my intent to hook up,
yeah, he
hook up
said he
with
want
him.
to have you on the show when you come. I mean, when you come to
Would
Vegas.
love to get on. Yeah, would love to love to make that connection in Vegas.
Yeah, you know, I was. Let me see. Let me see. Last time I was in Vegas, because I'm not a gambling guy, But I was
Mm.
there. Let me see. I was there. Ooh, I was there for a conference for NABJ many years ago, and I went to see a friend who lives there who I've been knowing since high school. And she's been working in the casino, and that's where she lives now. But it was about 11 years ago. No, maybe about 8 years ago. I was there. Vegas is an interesting place, man.
Oh, without doubt. There's an awful lot going on in Vegas. I was out there 3 summers ago for the NBA Summer League, and I found that to be for me, was outstanding to see that much basketball being played over a 2 week period of time. And if all the key players were there, GMs, presidents, coaches. I mean, it was just great for me as a basketball nut. It was just heaven on earth for me. But the city itself is an interesting city. I got a chance to see old Vegas, new Vegas. But one of the things I was interested in is learning about Vegas off the strip. And that's where I thought Donnell would be a big help to me, is to let me see the other side of Vegas that most people don't see. Everybody see, and I enjoy Vegas, the strip myself. I was fascinated by it, walking up and down the sidewalks and going into the various locations. I'm not a gambler, but I just love being there. But I wanted to see how, quote unquote, the normal people live. Because a lot of those
Right.
people out there are tourists. So the people that work there, where do they live and how do they live? I want to see that. Because I just think, and I love it out there. It's just hot as stink in the summertime. Oh man, it's just hot. I mean, 117, and I got up one morning to go to the gym. We were going to the gym around 4. We would leave around 4, get to the gym around 4:30, quarter to 5. I come out of the gym around 7, about 7:30, 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 89 degrees. I mean, I'm like, it's already hot. I mean, and they talk about 117. It's gonna be 117 today. It's not that hot. Say
Right.
what? But
And and,
other than,
and I do understand what they mean by it's a dry heat, though.
oh yeah,
That
yeah,
part
yeah,
I do
absolutely.
understand what it means by it's a
I get
dry
that.
heat.
I didn't have a great appreciation before, but I do now. I do
Yeah.
now. I mean, and it's hot too. But I
Yeah,
love
it
it out
is.
there.
It is. It is.
I really
When
love
I
it.
when I went there for an NABJ conference, it was that had to be like in July or something like that, either
Oh
July
yeah.
or August. And the temperatures was somewhere around 117,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
117.
And that's with the wind blowing. That's the wind coming in from the desert. I'm like, man, all they're doing is blowing hot air. Blowing hot air. That's all it is. And he's like, man. And I was excited. I said, man, we got some wind. He said, yeah, wait till you feel the wind. The wind, nothing but hot air. That's all it is. But I'm still, I'm a Vegas fan. I really like it out there, and I want to see more of it. I wanted to see more of Nevada, Reno, Nevada. I really would like to see more. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there.
Now, I think I sent you the invite to Let the Ball Bounce, his sports show. I think I sent that
Yeah,
to you.
I
Didn't I
have
send that to
seen
you?
a couple things from his from the email. I mean, Facebook account.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I have a chance to pay attention to some of their posts and some of the things they're talking about. Have not
Oh
had an
yeah, man.
opportunity to
If you
comment.
go on the page and you got some real sports fans, man. And some of their
Yeah,
comments are those diehard,
right.
crazy sports fans, man. Yeah. If you just go visit people out there. If you don't know what we're talking about, they uh, Google on Facebook, Let the Ball Bounce. And if you're into sports and if you want to join in and make some comments, uh, look them up. Let the Ball Bounce. The true diehard sports fans are there, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. For forever comments posting, and you can stroll down all day long, and you'll be very much entertained about some of the comments of some of the diehard sport fans.
Yeah, yeah. People expressing their opinions. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Milwaukee and Detroit. It doesn't look like Detroit has an answer for the Bucks. Plus,
Now,
but plus what you call them's out. Blake.
Yeah,
Blake is out.
Blake is going to make a difference if he can get back in. But it's still a tall. I give Dwayne Casey credit for getting that team into the playoffs. He really took over and kind of gave him a new lease, so to speak, and they really got after it. But the Greek Freak man and what he brings to the table and his supporting cast. Right now, a little bit too much for Detroit, I think. I heard Casey in a post game effort. They talk about what they were trying to get done. They just couldn't get it done to the satisfaction that they wanted, and some of that was not poor execution. Some of that was just what Milwaukee was doing, and not having Blake does, without a shadow of a doubt, hurt them. It definitely. I saw also he was working out in pregame a little bit, so he's getting close to being able to return. But currently, Milwaukee's up 2-0. That's tough. That's
Right.
going to be tough on them. That's going to be
Did you
real tough on them.
did you see how the Pacers kind of folded in the last few minutes of that Celtic game?
Yeah, them.
They were actually playing a pretty good game, and then the last maybe 5 minutes, they had some crazy. They just folded, man.
They're missing Oladipo.
Oh yeah,
He's out,
definitely.
and they really miss him. But once again, next man up. You got to, you can't let that hold you back. You got to get out there and try to win. But Boston is starting to play some really good ball. They were stumbling and bumbling there for a while, but I think they kind of got it straight a little bit. At least in this series, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I think if Oladipo, I wonder if he was there. I mean, because you can talk about if, when, woulda, shoulda, but I think the Pacers might win their home games, but they they played a good game tonight until the last maybe four minutes or so, because they were
Mm.
leading most of that game, and then they threw the ball away, and some at crucial moments they had some mental lapse, and it's just like, wow, really, this is not preseason.
Yeah, and not having that mature ball player that hurts. Who could help calm them down, take the ball in his hands, and do some things with it that maybe save that possession. They don't have that right now, so they're going to have to try to struggle along without that. They won't have him back, so they got to try to come up with some answers. Houston just pounded Utah. Harden had something like 35, 32 points tonight or something like that. So not looking good for Utah.
Yeah. He had 30, 32. Actually, you know what? He had a triple double.
Yeah.
He had 13 rebound and 10 assists and 32 points. He had a triple
Mhm.
double.
Yeah,
They're
triple
showing him
double.
traveling because he travels when he shoots, and they don't ever
Yeah.
call it. But hey, I
Travel when
mean,
he
every
don't
time
shoot.
he shoots the ball, he travels.
Even when he don't shoot, he travel. But they let
Yeah,
go.
it's just amazing they don't call it. It's just that is just amazing to me. That I don't know. That's just weird that they allow. I don't know. That's just I don't get that. That's just mind boggling that they don't call the traveling, and I don't. That's just crazy to me.
Well, the officials have a couple of times they've been challenged on that, and they they're struggling with the definition. The Euro step throws them off, or sometimes they don't think he um, actually traveled. I mean, I don't know, and maybe sometimes they're
Vince,
looking for
no,
an
seriously,
infraction.
Vince, you've been
But
around this
but
game long enough.
but see, I heard officials say, for instance, in the Virginia game, Virginia basketball game, when he double dribbled off of his foot, the officials were so intent for a foul that they were anticipating a foul to take place that took place and nobody really caught it. I mean, they kind of didn't he just double dribble?
I saw
They
that when
let
that happened.
and it's
I
not
looked
so
at it
much
like
that
he double dribbled
not so
when he
much that
did
they
it.
didn't recognize that he double dribbled as much as they were so focused on something else that they kind of let that kind of went by them. Was it a mistake? Yeah, without a doubt it was a mistake. And then I think and so they didn't call it, and they were looking for it. They thought a foul was going to take place, and that's the official's job is to call the game, but he missed that one. And I think with Harden, sometimes it's just entertainment value. And that's what I don't like. I mean, if he travel, he travel. I don't care how entertaining it may be for him to score X amount of points or whatever. If he travel, call it travel. And you have to be consistent. You can't call it one game and don't call it the next game because he's traveling. At
Clearly,
least by my definition.
clearly it's traveling. It's just like you don't have to go. No, he traveled, and they're not calling it.
Yeah,
It's
at least
crazy.
by my definition, he's traveling. But they don't call it. So that's the intent to let the game flow more. And I agree with that, but I still think you got to call it for what it is.
Well,
Uh,
if that's the case, I don't know
that's to
why.
be the case, then you got to get rid of the rules altogether.
Right, because
So the
basically what you're
rules
saying
committee,
is right before the game, let's just make up some rules.
well, the rules committee has what I gathered from a little bit of information I've read. In the off season, they're going to be taking a look at some of those situations that have caused concern throughout the season. That's one of them. Is really looking at that and saying, is that what we think it is? Then why don't we call it? There has to be a uniform decision about what that is, and I think that's what they don't have, and I think that's where they're trying to go to. So let's everybody understand. Not a judgment call. If this happens, this is what that is. So that's one of the things they're going to be talking about, from what I read,
Okay.
along with some
Now
other
what we
issues.
didn't talk about before we leave, we didn't talk about Denver and San Antonio. Denver, San
I'm
Antonio.
I'm really impressed with San Antonio that they even got that Pop was able to get those guys in the tournament, uh, and he's gone out there and won some, you know, increased his winning percentage. I expected Denver to probably play at a little different level than they're playing, but Pop and them have been playing some really good basketball. It could turn out to be an interesting series.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, actually, San Antonio was leading in that second game, and they somehow or another lost lead. But see how they do when they go home, San Antonio.
yeah.
And
I mean, Denver. I think many people have said that perhaps Denver would is favorite to win it, but San Antonio has played hard. It should be a good series, I think. At least I hope so. I'm a Pop fan. And I'm really excited about what he was able to do with his team. Now I just like to see him go as far as they can. Be once again be competitive.
well, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I'm a, I'm a San Antonio fan. I like the Spurs. I have to get used to the new players because some of those guys I don't recognize. But like you said, I'm a Pop fan, so I like the
Right.
way they play. I like his style of play anyway.
Hmm.
So, but
Does a good job.
did before we go, did somebody take some pictures tonight? We gonna see some pictures?
There's one
Anywhere?
group picture. Not a lot of pictures that were taken, I don't think, because Charles, here's something I thought was interesting. This is for the entire basketball program, and particularly the varsity team. The entire team averaged over a 3.5 grade point average. And then there was a group of about 40 kids that were uh, over 4%, over 4.0 grade point average. That's a remarkable achievement, and for a team, given distraction and all that. These kids were able to maintain their grades that way. We had an overall team GPA of 4.75. That's amazing. These kids were able to that much attention to detail to their studies, which is what you want. But that's high, man. That's and that equates to good basketball because you got kids who are able to understand and learn and pick up on things and raise their basketball IQ. Um, you still got to have some talent though, but it does help to raise that IQ. And so that was one of the things that we talked about tonight. I got one group picture of last year's teams, and they received a basketball tonight with the picture on there. this being a particularly special run for the Final Four and our record and all that, which I thought was a great way to symbolize this year's effort. So hopefully a few pictures coming in and perhaps next week.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had my sound off. I was saying to you, I can't wait. Well, I'm going to ask you next week about your juniors that are going to be seniors, and then your sophomores that's going to be juniors, and what type of team you're going to have next week. I mean next year. So,
Well, we'll know
yeah.
next week because we have tryouts next week for the summer
Okay.
program. So we'll get a
Yeah.
chance. We get our first real look at them on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we'll be looking at all three teams, as a matter of fact, but particularly our varsity team. So I have a snapshot of what
Okay.
we have by then.
You, I don't usually ask you, but usually, how how usually, I mean, how does the girls do? The girls do, your
Our
girls team.
girls team, our girls team this year somewhat achieved, but they had a good squad, and I think they're going to have even better squad next year. Then I think they somewhat underachieved this year, but I think they got it right. I think they're going to be right for next year. They got great. They got guard play. They got inside play. They got wing play. They got dribble drive. They got shoot. They're going to be tough. They're so tough that when we're making the schedule, we got schools that don't want to play us. So they say, well, the boys want to play, but the girls don't want to play. Because they don't feel like they can match up with them. So on paper right now, and I understand their first open gym that they had the other day just went fantastic. So they're on track to have a phenomenal year on paper. And we got to put it on the floor, but on paper it looks real good. They got two twins that's nothing but the truth. They got a guard. This girl could shoots the ball extremely well, handles it well, dribble drive, pass, and play defense. I mean, she's a coach's
Okay.
dream.
All right. Well,
She's a coach's dream.
again, congratulations on your evening,
Thank thank you.
and
Very
the the funny thing is, I can reflect back on the seniors and what that feels like,
yeah.
going into a different territory, because you've been in school all your life, and being a senior, you're taking a big step, and you can't imagine what it's like not being able to come back to your high school, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, we invite them to come back. So several of them are not leaving till early fall or late summer, like late August or something. So they plan to come to some. I think we normally have our summer team play against the previous seniors. That group will come in and we'll go against them. We're looking forward to that. They're already looking forward to that,
We
and
used to
just
do that. You know
competitiveness to
what,
help
Vince?
them get.
That's funny, because when I was in junior high school, that was always a big game. The the ninth graders that went on to 10th grade, they would always come back and play the ninth graders of that year. And that was always a great game, man. It used, I mean, it was like a really big thing. I mean, it really was. And because you got the trash talking and the bragging rights of that whole thing, and people, I mean, the gym was always packed, and it was just a normal thing where the ninth graders that left would come back and play the ninth graders of that year, and that was just a traditional thing that we did every year.
Well, we don't go down to ninth grade. We take the varsity team and play against the previous year's varsity and any other players that have ever been there are welcome to come, and we put them on the floor against those guys as well. And that kind of helps shape the team, gives us a great way to evaluate them, the current team against some of the former players who were. So
Yeah.
it really kind of gives us a report card on each player. We get a chance to see them in a very competitive game because those guys coming back, they're trying to make a mark, and
Right.
and that's one reason we put them out there. So
Yeah,
they're good.
our junior high, because I mean the coaches used to be the officials, so it was a real game, and the gym would be packed, and we would have a real game, and it was just a traditional thing. I don't know when or where did it start, but hey, it was fun.
Yeah, we're trying to be very helpful in getting those guys ready to play when they play against those previous guys because it's a pride issue, bragging rights,
Oh yeah,
but for
oh
us,
yeah,
good
oh yeah.
too. It's a great thing to do,
Yeah.
but it's trying to get
Well,
them
all
ready.
right. So, well, see, you just brought back a memory that I had totally forgot about that.
Yeah, as much as things change, it stays the same.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I'm Charles Morris. This is the original Coach Carter, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. here at Youth Central Sports. You make sure that you subscribe to us at YouTube, like us on Facebook, and we're at www.youthcentralsports.com. I love that you join us, and the original Coach Carter. You make sure that you have yourself a great week. And hey, it sounds like that cold is gone.
Yeah, cold is pretty much gone. I have not been having any lingering effects from it so far. Been able to get in the gym not without a extreme amount of fatigue. So I say I'm close to back there. I'm about 99% right about now.
Okay. All right. Well, uh, that's always good to hear. Well,
Yes,
everyone, you have yourself a great week. You be blessed.
blessings.